This is Riri Mokru, and you're watching Wrestling with Mental Health. So, how was your time working with Sunday Night Main Event?
A Saturday night's main event.
Saturday Night Main Event, my bad.
It was really really amazing experience. I can't say enough good things about it. It was like a dream come true, man. Us as kids, you always want to work for the WWE, and Gabe Sapolsky is the one that is pretty much like helping wrestlers, be able to get extra work and things like that. And he wants you to come to like his seminar to be able to see you and make sure that you're sound in the ring and everything is good. So I did a couple of those, and I had the opportunity to do some extra work. That was my fourth time doing extra work. So every time had been a great experience. This was the first time that I was actually used on air, like on TV.
Yep.
And it was just a surreal experience because you get told that first of all that you're doing something, so you're very excited about that, and just being there and being able to see how everything works and how everything is put together, and just being in that energy and being in that atmosphere. And again, that was just one of those times where I felt in my head and in my heart, like this is where you're supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And it was great. Abyss, Chris Parks was the one that was in charge of the extras. And oh shit, sorry guys. Here, let me turn that off. The So he was in charge of the extras, and being able to work with him was great. I did some extra work for TNA as well, and he was the guy there as well. Sorry, I'm just gonna turn this off.
That's okay.
People are There we go. Donnie Important. So yeah, that was great. It was a really really amazing time. Something that not everybody gets to do. I hope I have more opportunities with them, and it was just a really really great experience.
I hope so too for you.
Thanks, man.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
that. Yeah,
How was your time working in Mexico?
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of craziness. I had a friend, and he was a wrestler, and he was going to Mexico to meet one of his friends that's in a band. And there was a company that came down and they would do shows in Montreal, and they were like, hey, if you ever want to come to Mexico, let us know, we'd love to have you and stuff. And I said, okay, great. So when I talked to my friend, I said, hey, I've got connection, we could go down, we could wrestle, all that stuff, and we made like a trip out of it. But it was surreal, like in the sense that like when you're in Mexico, man, like, and you're not even on a resort, like we were just in Monterey, living at this guy's house, and just taking in everything that Mexico has to offer essentially. And you can tell like you're not in Canada, you know what I mean? It's a whole different world. The wrestling was so much fun. The fans were so passionate, which was great. I didn't wear a mask. Most wrestlers they down there they wear a mask, and the lucha libre
Yeah.
culture, and how respected and important that is to a luchador is the mask, right? It's their identity.
Yeah.
But they didn't want me to because, well, they said that you have a great face for this, because like when you're like a white guy in Mexico, like you stand out like a
Yeah.
sore thumb,
Yeah.
right?
Or
So
gringo.
yeah, gringo. Yeah, they call me Guerrero Loco, so it was a crazy white boy. And it was just so funny. The one thing I remember was we had done this show, and the promoter was telling me that he wanted me to take tacos and throw them at the audience. And I was like, what? And I thought he was joking. He's kind of speaking like broken
That's
English,
weird
right?
heat.
It's just weird, right? So he goes and he's like, yeah, yeah. And he gets me this taco, like it's like the tortillas, and they're warm. And he gives them, and he says, I want you, you call them like puto and indios, which is like bitch and idiot and all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, like, let's fucking do it. And so I go out there, and at first they're cheering me because it's like, oh, he looks good and whatever. And then I take the bag out and I'm like, puto, and I'm like throwing them, and now they're starting to like boo me and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, you know. But then this one guy, he took like a glass bottle, and I had the tortillas, and he's about to throw this bottle, and I throw a taco at him, and I'm like, come on, putos, like you don't have the guts, SA. But I'm thinking in my head, like, if he throws this bottle, I'm going to get decked in the face with a glass bottle because I'm like this, right? I'm not even like covered. So I'm just thinking like, come on, puto. But I'm like, please don't throw this bottle right now, you know? He didn't throw it, and everybody was super cool. And they kind of understood, and they got it, and they were laughing. And, you know, so it was a really, really fun experience.
That's good.
You know, even just like, we would be in the mountains and we'd be cooking steaks and stuff and having like a grill out in the mountains and, you know, all that. We went to many bars and clubs and, you know, just you know, the Latina women, you know, they were fantastic. You know, and just the whole culture, everything was really, really nice. We were really taken care of nicely while we were there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any future aspirations? Hopefully TNA, WWE, New Japan.
Yeah, I would definitely love to be able to make my living as a pro wrestler and be able to work for a major company. You know, as a kid, WWE's always been the goal, and it still is. You know, will we all make it there? No. You know, are we a failure if we don't? No. I used to think as a kid, oh, if I don't make it to WWE, I'm a failure, right? It's just like a kid that grows up and all he wants to do is hold the Stanley Cup, right? TNA would be great. AEW would be great. New Japan, you know, being able to just be on the indies and making enough money with like my shows and merch and all that. Like, I'm just really just riding the wave, and, you know, I'm really trying to just, you know, think positively and just hope the universe kind of just, you know, guides me where I need to go. But to answer your question, I would love to be able to make a living, you know, as a full-time professional wrestler, whether it be TNA, AEW, you know. Japan would be cool. I would love to go there. I feel like that'd be a total culture shock.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like you'd get used to it after a while. But yeah, anywhere, you know, anywhere I would definitely love to work.
I'd love to see you in Japan.
That'd be cool.
Working All Japan or New Japan even.
I feel like style-wise, I think I'd fit.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be good. A lot of like, you know, technical suplexes.
Sounds technical and strong style.
You know,
so,
that kind of stuff. Like when people ask me like, what's your style? You know, I find like if you look at like UFC today, right? Back in the day when UFC started, you had styles. Like you had kickboxer, you had a wrestler, you had jiu-jitsu, and you could match like a kickboxer with a wrestler, and then they would get destroyed, like the wrestler, because you get kicked in the face and like all that stuff, right? But now it's much more like well-rounded, and everybody kind of knows a little bit of each style.
Everybody knows Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of where I am. Like I can high fly a little bit. I mean, can I do a 630? No. But I can do some stuff. Definitely like the swanton and stuff.
You can do a missile drop kick.
Missile drop kick, shit like that. So high flying, technical, a little bit of submission stuff. I can brawl. You know, I'd love to have the opportunity to have some more, you know, matches, like whether it be like street fights or, you know, ladder matches, table matches, you know, all kinds. I'd love to do all that stuff. So I think I'm well-rounded.
You are.
Hey, this is PWE superstar Cody Diener, the king of the schwa. You're listening to Wrestling with Mental Health. And I want you to know it's important to take care of your mental health, but it's also important to support professional wrestling, independent professional wrestling, like Pro Wrestling Clips, like my buddy here has. So hey, keep listening, keep taking care of yourself, and keep loving professional wrestling.